It has been weeks since a mom of four was shot in the head while she was just out driving. And now San Antonio police say they have got their man. And according to authorities, the suspect got himself caught because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, really sad story out of Texas. We have 31-year-old Julie Marie Butcher, also known as Julie Delgado. We believe that was reportedly her maiden name. She was driving home from work as a general manager at a Papa John's pizza location when she reportedly encountered 24-year-old Nicholas Hernandez on I-35 in San Antonio. An eyewitness reportedly told police that he sees a man in a blue-silver Volkswagen Jetta drive up next to Julie's car and just open fire. Yeah, Julie's car crashes into a ditch, and that is where first responders find her dead in this seemingly random act of violence. This was back on November 8th. And 2 days later, according to an arrest affidavit, there is this anonymous tipster who comes forward and tells police that Nick Hernandez had confessed to a close friend that he was the shooter. Now, the tipster also confirmed that Hernandez was driving a Jetta, and that is the car that police were apparently looking for. So police start looking into Hernandez, and what do they find? They find that one day after the shooting, he had reported that he was the victim of a robbery a few days before. That he had reported he was playing basketball on November 6th, so this is before the shooting, when a man robbed him. He said the robber took his basketball, his duffel bag, and crucially, for this case, he reported that his 9mm handgun was stolen too. Now, as San Antonio police continued their investigation, they get another anonymous tip from a woman who said that Hernandez had confessed to her that he was involved in a road rage incident. And guess what? When police executed a search warrant at Hernandez's home, guess what they found? They found the stolen items. Let me phrase, the stolen items. The black duffel bag, the basketball, it was all inside of his house. And they also found his Volkswagen Jetta, which according to authorities matched the description of the car at the scene of Julie's shooting. Then, more witnesses get in touch with police. One of them said, yes, they were playing basketball on that day, but at a different location than Hernandez had said. And that witness also reportedly told police that Hernandez had an older basketball with him instead of the newer one, and that he didn't say anything to anyone about having been robbed. Another witness came forward, told police that Hernandez confessed to him that he was involved in this shooting that ended with the victim's car in a ditch. Another witness said that Hernandez came to his home the night of the shooting, allegedly asking the witness to dispose of 2 9mm shell casings that he cleaned out of his car. So at this point, as I mentioned, police got a search warrant, and they got a search warrant for the car too. And when police received the phone records that they have requested, they are able to confirm that Hernandez's phone was in the approximate location of the shooting around the time this happened and moving in the direction that witnesses said. And the phone records also reportedly confirm some of the tips that they were getting, some of the details from the tips that they were getting. So Hernandez was arrested, and he was arrested the day before Thanksgiving. He remains in custody in the Bexar County Jail. Hey, so before we go any further, I got something I have to tell you guys about. I host and executive produce a show called Crime with Jesse Weber, and now it is launched on Spotify. That's right, you can listen on the go. And this show puts a spotlight on those really shocking, infamous, controversial crime stories. We go from beginning to end, from the 911 call to the verdict. We go through body cams, police interrogations, interviews with the players in the case. We want you to have a full understanding of the story from all sides. So right now you can click the link below and in the description to follow Crime with Jesse Weber right now on Spotify. Julie, let's go back to her for a second. This mom of four, she is being remembered as a dedicated mom, a hard worker. Her family released a statement after Hernandez's arrest saying, "This Thanksgiving, our family is profoundly grateful for the progress toward justice for Julie Marie Butcher. We have been informed that an arrest has been made in connection with her murder, marking an important step forward in this difficult journey. While the pain of her loss is still with us, we take comfort in the dedication of law enforcement and the overwhelming support from our community. Your prayers, kindness, and solidarity have been a source of strength for us. Julie's life was a gift, and we honor her memory by continuing to seek peace and healing." And the family has also started a GoFundMe to help raise money for Julie's children. I want to bring in former prosecutor Bridgette Williams to talk more about this. Bridgette, thanks so much for coming on. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with this, but I guess let's start with the alleged confessions. one after another, and those confessions apparently backed up by the cell phone data and the text message data. What do you make of that?
Well, let's start one with this is just such a horrific offense that occurred to this woman. She's driving down the interstate and out of the blue, someone shoots her. I mean, it's insane. In Texas, we have had a very large number of road rage cases go on where people may have flash guns, and most of the time people get charged with offense that we call deadly conduct. If they flash a gun at someone while after a road rage type situation driving down the interstate. That's happened multiple times and continues to just increase in numbers daily. And that's throughout the state. When we move on to something like this where someone is killed, I mean, it's extreme. It's extreme, it's horrific, it's unimaginable. Now, this young man, Nicholas Hernandez, he admits, or as we know, that we from witnesses state that he has admitted to them that he was the person who murdered this person. He who murdered this lady, Julie. He stated to multiple witnesses, as you said before. The part that is interesting to me is that there was a text message that says that he actually admitted it to one of the witnesses. So police officers were able to see in a text message where he admits it. So now it's in writing. So not just based off of other witnesses' words that he said it, but it's also in a text message thread. Then it's also even corroborated even further where his cell phone has GPS tracking. All of ours do. GPS tracking, once you are using it, it puts him at the exact location at the exact time that this incident occurred. I mean, everything is corroborating and pointing towards him.
And taking these allegations for true for a moment, assuming they're true. I mean, these are allegations, but does it signal to you that this was not very well thought out? Does it signal to you, because we don't know why this happened. If he did it, we don't know why he would have done this to her. But does it signal to you a level of stupidity? Does it signal to you a level of inexperience? Does it signal to you that this was not very well thought out, that it happened in the heat of the moment and he maybe didn't think about, his cell phone, confessing? And we'll get to the robbery ploy in a second, but it was incredibly, incredibly sloppy, and I would say more of a straightforward case for investigators. Again, assuming all of this is true.
Well, assuming all of this is true, I don't know if I would say stupidity, but it is very much so lacking in someone who you would think would be someone who's done this before, right? Or someone who has thought this out. The thing for me is that, again, he's going around confessing it to multiple people. So he has admitted it several places. It almost sounds like he's bragging about it to give him some type of, I don't know, just energy that shows that he's braggadocious.
Or trying to get somebody to throw out, or trying to get somebody to throw out evidence for him.
Maybe so. But to me, again, multiple witnesses have come and stated that he has told them verbatim, I was the person who was involved in this killing. So why are you going around telling everyone, especially in writing in a text message?
By the way, got to talk about this robbery ploy. I mean, according to police, he didn't even hide the stolen items. The idea, I mean, that's interesting, right? He says he was the victim of a robbery, and that's why his gun was stolen, and trying to cover his tracks for maybe it was this robber who killed Julie. But again, that didn't, at this point, seem to really hold much water.
No, that didn't hold much weight at all. Even when we go back to just looking at the description about the robbery that he stated, he didn't give much of a description for the person who robbed him. I think the words that they used were an unknown description of a man who robbed him. So you can't even really describe who this person was who robbed you. I think that's a huge point there as well. And even going forward with, like you just stated, he didn't even take matters even further to remove the items from his home. So I agree with you there. Very much so sloppy work.
Any possible defense to this? I mean, I know we have limited details, but what would be something you would be on the lookout for? Would it be trying to suggest, because there's a difference, right? Sometimes you could have a case where you have a killing and a cover-up, and the cover-up is evidence of the murder, whereas you could say somebody covers it up, but they're really not guilty of murder. They might be, they didn't commit the crime, or they were guilty of something like manslaughter. Do you look at it as the way that, I mean, again, what are possible defenses that we should be on the lookout for here?
Well, first, I'm going to say they charged him correctly with murder in this case. This is an intentional killing of another. You shot someone driving down the interstate. This wasn't recklessness. This wasn't negligently. It was intentional. He intentionally killed her. Defenses, possible defenses, maybe self-defense. We don't know. Again, maybe some of the facts continue to evolve as we learn more about the case. But based off of the facts that we have now, I don't see a self-defense mechanism working here, a defense working here. Do we have some type of mental issues going on? We don't know. That may be something for his defense attorneys to look through, again, as he continues to move forward. We'll just have to see once the trial starts or once the litigation process starts. Right now, he's just in jail with no bond.
Or a preliminary hearing, where it's a good indication of some of the evidence that the prosecution has. Let me ask you this. I don't know if he ever admitted anything to this to police, if he gave any indication from his comments or his text why he would have done this. Again, assuming he did it. But assuming for a moment that he never lays out a motive, assuming that investigators can never find out why he did this. Again, assuming he did this. This is all an allegation. But I know motive is not an element to a crime like this. You don't have to prove you don't have to prove the motive behind it in order to get a conviction for murder. You don't have to prove that to a jury. But it does help tell a story. And if that motive is never revealed, can a defense attorney at trial be like, why on earth would Nicholas Hernandez, who maybe has absolutely no connection to Julie whatsoever, we don't know at the time of this recording, but let's say he has absolutely no connection, they could say, why on earth would this guy just randomly kill someone like this? It makes no sense. Is that going to be a big problem for the prosecution?
It's going to be a huge problem. Juries want to know a motive. Like you just stated, a motive is not necessary, but juries want to know, why would you do something like this? They need to know most of the time in order to be able to provide a not guilty verdict. Most defense attorneys are looking for that in order to convey to the jury, this is why that happened. This is why the person did what they did. Now, if they don't have a motive and if they move forward in a trial setting, if they have no connection, right? These individuals have no connection with each other. The only thing I could think of would be some type of mental instability for this individual. That's the only connection that could possibly raise an issue for this defense counsel to provide to a jury. Otherwise, he may be looking into maybe working out some type of best plea agreement.
We'll see where this goes. Bridgette Williams, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.